If you would like to support the podcast and get some extra content while you're there, head on over to patreon.com/SevereMMA podcast and sign up. From the rewatch to the Q&A, we will have loads of content every week. So sign up, patreon.com/SevereMMA podcast. And now, here's the podcast. Welcome everybody. It's episode 380 of the Severe MMA podcast. My name is Sean Sheehan, aka the Pod God, the Scoring Lord, whatever you want to call me, on this beautiful Sunday morning, Monday morning, whenever you're listening to this. Joined today by Graham MacDonald to talk about the week in the world of mixed martial arts. Something probably happened over the last couple of days. Anyway, before we get into all of that, let's tell you that this episode of the podcast is brought to you by our friends over at Manscaped. And don't wait till your trouser devils are more disorderly than Manchester United. Although we're back a little bit this season. Bring your below the waist to the top of the table with Manscaped. Use Lawnmower 4.0 to show off your moderate level ball skills and ensure your member will be Luka good. No? Okay. Man City have won the Premier League, but your Man City will be the champion this year when you go to manscaped.com and enter the code SevereMMA for 20% off and free delivery on your order. Myself and Graham have been using Manscaped now for well over a year, and they've been great supporters of us, so please support them. And all their stuff is really good. I've had Manscaped stuff literally for probably 18 months and it's still going strong like it did on day one. It's absolutely brilliant. And if you want to try out Manscaped, I would suggest going for that performance package. It's a real deal. The ultimate grooming package for a champion. Included is the greatest ball hair trimmer ever created, the Lawnmower 4.0. Also the Weed Whacker for your nose and ear hair. Multiple ball formulations and a shed travel bag, as well as the boxers. The package stars their redesigned electric trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. This trimmer is simply the best hygiene tool to keep the grass on the pitch to perfect lint. Jurgen Klopp would absolutely love that. The Lawnmower 4.0 ceramic blades reduce nicks and cuts in your most sensitive regions. This revolutionary tech is the best defense you could find for your Virgil van Dijk balls. They need to change that now, as Virgil van Dijk can't really defend anymore. But anyway, your Tyrell Maladika. I know. What are you doing there? Who else have we? Martin. No, there's nothing coming to mind there. The trimmer's battery also lasts 90 minutes, so it's absolutely perfect. You can do it for the entire soccer match if you want, with a little bit of a water break in the middle, of course. Their performance package also comes with the Weed Whacker nose and ear hair trimmer, which is waterproof and uses a 9,000 RPM motor powered 360 degree rotary dual blade system. Weed Whacker also has a proprietary skin safe technology which helps prevent nicks, snags and tugs into those delicate holes. And you can't forget about the liquid formulation as well. My personal favourite, absolutely love them. Use a crop cleanser to clean your body, as well as the crop preserver to keep fresh and the crop reviver to give your balls a good half-time boost. Put the ball back in Ballon d'Or and make sure your hardware stays shiny with the performance packages crop preserver, anti-chafing ball deodorant and crop reviver spray toner as well. The package is head to toe top class and an easy choice for the best footballers in Europe. So get 20% off and free delivery with the code SevereMMA at manscaped.com. That is 20% off with free delivery using the code SevereMMA at manscaped.com. Celebrate a new season of the beautiful game with your newly beautiful balls. All right, Graham. Where do we start? Where do we start with this one? It's honestly.
Yeah, so shit, Nate Diaz against Shimaya, that was a good one, wasn't it?
Fight, yeah, wasn't it? If someone has been, I imagine how someone's been away for the weekend, right? It is maybe Monday morning. They're just coming back. They're on their way to work. Maybe they were over in London maybe for the weekend. They flew in at like 9-10 o'clock on Sunday night. Went straight to bed, absolutely hungover, wrecked. Listened to this podcast on Monday morning on their drive to work, and they're like, I wonder how that Diaz Shimaya fight went. Oh, I wonder could Tony Ferguson beat Li Zhangliang and all this. I'm like, well, I'm here to tell you guys that's something different kind of happened. Do you know what? Maybe we'll start there actually, just in case there are people like that. Because I know for myself, even especially we have a lot of listeners in America. Maybe people don't buy the pay-per-views, and they just get their news from here. So maybe we'll start there. Do you know what I'll do, Graham? I'll read read out the weigh-in results, right? And I'll read out the whole card just to make it a little bit easier, because this was one of those cards. So we started off, the 4 early prelim fights were fine. Weeks, Slines, Reed, Martins, Anheliger, Anatang, Haley, Wolf and Dumont all made weight. So that's perfect there. Little problem then once we got to the prelims, outside of the early prelims. Chris Barnett, who was a heavyweight, missed weight at 267.5 for his fight with Jake Collier. Tulin and Pickett were fine. There was a catch weight then, madly. There's never been as many catch weights in a card as this, surely. Anyway, Joelton Almeida and Anton Turkali. Then Hakeem Dawodu missed weight, 149.5 for his fight with Julian Arosa. Then we had the main card, Johnny Walker, Nguyen Kutilaba. Then we had another catch weight, and this was before all the madness, between Irene Aldana and Messi Chaison at 140. And then if you're thinking, okay, the next 3 fights on this card are Li Jiangliang versus Tony Ferguson, Kevin Holland versus Daniel Rodriguez, and Hamzat Chimaev versus Nathan Diaz. Not quite, because Hamzat Chimaev missed weight for his scheduled 170 pounds fight, which obviously he could weigh in at 171. He weighed in at 178.5 for his fight with Nathan Diaz.
And he says he doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care about that.
He doesn't care. He also said that the doctor was sent to his room, and there's something fishy going on here from some side of it. Like Dana White was coming out last night and he was saying, "Oh, if you think this is conspiratorial or whatever, you're gone mad." And look, that's fair enough. It probably is mad if you think the UFC conspired to do all of this. But there was definitely something weird with Chimaev, like that. It was so quickly the weight cut was stopped. And it was so far out that Ariel was reporting it that they knew, like it was literally like when he woke up in the morning, everyone knew this fight wasn't going to happen. So it must have been from the day before that people knew he wasn't going to make weight, or it must have been like, well, maybe we'll try, we'll see how far, we'll see if he can absolutely kill himself to get down. And then they sent the doctor, and when you send the doctor to a weight cut, they're going to say no, because this weight cutting is just not great. Now, as my good friend Harry Paolo says, fuck weight cutting, which is absolutely the backbone of all this, and I would agree with all that, but still, he didn't make the weight. So, that was fine. Then they changed all of the top 3 fights. So what we ended up with is Daniel Rodriguez, who weighed 179 pounds, taking on Li Jiangliang, who weighed 170.5. So a massive weight discrepancy there. And Li Jiangliang, everyone's calling him an absolute gangster and all. Very, very fair then. Kevin Holland stepped in at 179.5 pounds, which is a pound heavier than Chimaev, to fight Chimaev. And that was over 5 rounds. And in the new pay-per-view main event was Nathan Diaz and Tony Ferguson, who both weighed 171 pounds. We did a little bit of a preview show for this card after all the madness happened over on YouTube with myself and Ian and Harry. And we were talking about this, and basically, I don't think anyone else in any other sport would be able to deal with this, in terms of even like the fans, or not even to be able to deal with it, to have to deal with it, for the possibility of something crazy like this to happen. But as MMA fans, we are used to this, but we also don't get it that often. We see lads missing weight, right? And I'll turn it over to you. We see lads missing weight. We're thinking like, oh, let's rejig the main event. Let's make this fight the night before, and then. Do you know what? It happens sometimes, but it very rarely happens. This time, Graham, we had 3 fights that everyone was writing down on their chalkboard that actually came to fruition and happened. It was one of the craziest days in MMA history, wasn't it? It was just incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. Like, it reminds me of, I'm not sure, maybe you can remember what year it was, where basically like every pay-per-view main event fell apart.
Oh God, it was
7 or 8 years ago now.
14
even,
or something, wasn't it? Something like that.
Yeah,
was Uriah Faber.
Like
yeah.
It reminds me of that, just where everybody's just trying to reshuffle the card right before, like obviously the reaction straight away when Chimaev was going to miss weight. I think everybody wanted to put together the Nate Diaz Tony Ferguson fight. The fans, the media, everybody was more up for that fight than the Chimaev fight. So maybe that helped the UFC switch it around a bit to see the kind of reaction as well. But it's in recent years anyway, it's unprecedented to day before the fight mix 3 fights and change the main 3 fights as well, especially on a pay-per-view to mix them up. But it seemed to go over very well. The reaction on social media and all that seemed to be that people were way more hyped for this main event and the card in general because of the changes in the card. Like nobody wants to see kind of a foregone conclusion and, you know, see somebody they love like Nate Diaz has a lot of fans. He's polarizing, but he has a lot of fans, and you know, and a lot of them obviously, you know, would back Diaz till the end. But being realistic, there was pretty much, you know, very slim chance of him beating Chimaev. So it just made the whole card more interesting. And, you know, MMA fans love chaos. You know, chaos is part of the reason. Maybe not in this exact way, but in the whole sport, in the fights, in the lead up, in the wake, everything together. The chaos is part of the fun, and a major part of the fun last night.
Chaos is a ladder, Graham, as a wise man once said. Yeah, we do. We live in the chaos. We understand the chaos, and also I think. There was mad money to be made last night in betting. It was one of those ones where the odds makers definitely didn't understand the chaos of mixed martial arts as well as I think MMA fans did, because I think a lot of people made a lot of money betting late last night. There was some very weird lines, you know, from even the main event to Chimaev winning in the first round and a few other ones. There was just crazy money to be made last night. So it definitely was one of those weeks that will go down, I suppose. And it wasn't even a week. It was just like a few hours where we were kind of waiting and oh yeah, well, this kind of happened. And do you know what? It wasn't that dramatic either, because we were like, right, this fight is out. He's missing weight, and it felt like from second one. I don't know why we always trying to make those cards, but it felt like from second one this time that they were actually going to make it, and that's why I think people were kind of very conspiratorial about this, because it felt like the UFC did it with such ease. And you know, there was obviously Dana White was really mad because after the event, because it felt like people were giving him credit, and then Ariel was like, it was what's your man's name, Hunter Campbell or whatever, and there was a bit of back and forth there, but the UFC did it. The one thing I would give credit to the UFC for, and I know Kevin Ioli got absolutely raked over the coals for giving the UFC credit for getting this card back on. Look, you give him a bit of credit for getting the card back on, but mostly the fighters deserve that credit for taking those fights.
Especially when Dana came out and said that nobody got a pay bump.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
So the fighters definitely have to take the majority of the credit.
Yeah, 100%. And Kevin Holland was going around saying, "Oh, I got massive money and all." And of course, and I don't know. I always find that very weird. You know, I think Sean Al-Shadi was tweeting after. It's like, "Oh, I'm so glad all of these guys are getting paid." And this is before Dana White even said it. And I was like, are they? Do you know that for 100%? Do you know that for a fact? So, yeah, it's...
Maybe Dana said he'll take care of them, throw them something later. But yeah,
that's not guaranteed.
He did himself say that they didn't take a pay bump. So guaranteed pay-wise, you know... according to Dana anyway, obviously I take everything with a pinch of salt that he says, but when he's saying the fighters aren't getting paid more, you'd probably be you tend to believe that.
You'd have to. There's no reason why he wouldn't say it. But the point I was going to make, the one thing I would give him credit for is stopping the weight cut. You know, this is the fight that they had made that I think most people didn't like. Now, unless you want to be conspiratorial and go, it wasn't selling and the fans weren't buying it and the people didn't buy into it, well, Dana White said it was trending off the charts. That's bullshit.
Well, but ESPN are going to pay them 500,000 pay-per-views either way. So obviously they want to keep their sellout streak going, as they keep talking about. What is it, 25 fight events in a row. Sellout or whatever they call it,
which is a lot of bullshit in itself,
over 90% or something.
Yeah,
and they obviously want to make more money on the gate, but really the main money is coming from the pay-per-views, and they're getting that from ESPN no matter what. So yeah, I like a good conspiracy theory, but I'd say they just shuffle this because the commission.
I think so as well, yeah. And look, and fair play, because if someone has a terrible weight cut and it's going to be dangerous, that absolutely should be stopped. So fair play to them for putting this whole card in jeopardy just for the safety of one guy. And that can't be overstated, I think, because we talk about weight cutting all the time, we give out about it all the time, but the reason we give out about it is exactly this, because when people cut too much weight and it's very, very unsafe, you know, you can give out about Chimaev being, unprofessional and everything, but at the end of the day, you wouldn't want to see him fucking getting hurt badly because of a weight cut.
I think the unprofessional thing is coming from his reaction. You know, everybody can understand a weight cut going wrong, the doctor stopping it or whatever, like, you know, he's not known for it. But the way he reacted, like, oh, I don't give a shit, fuck you. And just like, even his, his lines that he was putting out about, oh, I'll smash everybody, I'll die in the cage. It seemed like you know, he was trying to win the fans back, and they weren't having any of it because it's disrespectful to kind of just blow it off as if nothing happened.
It's hard to ever remember someone going down in the estimation of the fans as much as he did in that 24-hour period, because he not only did that, but after he weighed in, he like put up his middle finger and he was like, oh, I was close. And then at the ceremonial weigh-ins, he was very bad as well. And then after the fight, even I saw, I think it was New York Rick tweeting about it, like, oh, he'll go out and he'll smash someone and then everyone will be a massive fan again. And maybe next time they will, but this time those people paid a large sum of money to get those tickets, and by God, were they going to do their birthright,
make
almost
their feelings known, yeah.
and make their feelings known. And they're absolutely right. I would not criticize him for that whatsoever. He took away the fight that they had bought, that they had planned, and they'd bought hotels and they'd paid this, exorbitant price for to go to and all. And he was the one who ruined it. And, fair enough. But I do agree with you. I've always great sympathy for lads when they do miss weight, and I feel really, really bad for him because I hate weight cutting. But the way he reacted, I think you're right. It made this one a little bit different. So I suppose we better start talking about the fights. Oh, also, before that, if you missed it, there was a press conference scheduled to happen on when it was a Wednesday, and the press conference was cancelled because there was like a massive brawl backstage. But this massive brawl,
was there a massive brawl?
Not really, no. A bit
of handbags and
bit of handbags. Yeah, I think their biggest issue was they didn't have enough security, and they were like, well, we can't fucking keep this going, so let's throw them away. Like Diaz threw a fucking bottle when there was about 4 people around, and I don't think it really even got near hitting anyone. It was kind of a fun bottle throw, more than anything else. But
bottle toss.
Bottle toss. It was weird. But that's the problem with the Diaz lads around, because they roll deep, as they say. I think Dana White said 85 people or something there. So that is an issue, because there's no controlling them by us if it gets bad. So look, you can understand it in one way, but that's another part of why people are getting very conspiratorial about this, because that looked very, very set up, really badly set up. So it was all a bit weird, but maybe they didn't do it just because they knew Hamzat was going to miss weight too. I don't know. It was just a weird, chaotic few days in the world of mixed martial arts, which ended in the fights. So what we had in the end, I'll recap it again. Daniel Rodriguez versus Jing Liang. Kevin Holland against Khamzat Chimaev, and Nathan Diaz against Tony Ferguson. Let's talk about Nathan Diaz versus Tony Ferguson. I think it's a fight that we all probably wanted more than Diaz won. Now, I understood why they put him in there against Chimaev. I thought that it was going in badly for Chimaev because people would be looking at him as a bully and someone who beat their fan favourite, and I thought he was going to emerge badly from it. He did emerge badly from it, massive boos without the fight even happening before he even fought against Kevin Holland. And for Nathan Diaz, this was manna from heaven. He got an easier matchup. He got the main event. He got his 5 rounds. He got his money. He got his last fight in the UFC. And you know what he got, Graham? He got his win. Could it have worked out better for Nathan Diaz? I don't think it could. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Worked out brilliantly. Obviously, he, as I said earlier, there was pretty slim chance stylistically of him coming out on top against Chimaev and against Tony Ferguson, even though for some reason, I don't know why, the bookies had Tony Ferguson as the favourite. I won't go into Tony Ferguson again, but
here we go.
I really don't understand how he keeps getting such favourable odds. But obviously, Nate Diaz went out there, and it was a bit of a weird fight in a lot of ways. Like both guys didn't look great. Diaz looked a bit out of shape, but there was a few weird moments. Tony kept turning his back, obviously, as the fight went on. Nate started like taking the piss and like leaning on the cage and walking away. It was strange. At one stage, I wasn't sure if he'd been like eye poked or if he, I don't know what was going on. And it was strange in a lot of ways, but Tony Ferguson was just so hittable, as always. Nate was able to land on him. Tony was trying to throw wild strikes that weren't really working. The leg kicks were the only thing that were really working for Ferguson. I think they were a bit exaggerated by the commentators as well, though. We've seen Nate Diaz eat a lot of leg kicks in a lot of fights over the years, and he's able to plod on and get his shots off and get the job done, obviously. And I think Tony's corner called for a takedown, and obviously Tony went for the takedown, and the second he did, he got caught in the guillotine and tapped. And I just think Nate Diaz is better everywhere. The rounds were close, but I think Diaz was winning each round. And obviously, when the grappling came in, there was a very quick tap from Tony after Nate Diaz. Obviously, he's a real finisher when he hits the ground. When he sees an opportunity, he's very good at taking it, and he did. And it's like brilliant. Outcome for Nate Diaz. If he's going to sign a new contract with the UFC, which I doubt, obviously he'll be in a better position to do that. And if he wants to go out and box or do whatever he wants to do, I'm sure he'll get paid very well. So it's good times for Nate Diaz. Maybe he'll never get paid what he thinks he's worth, but he'll get paid a lot more if he does sign with re-sign with the UFC, or if he does go elsewhere.
Yeah, we get into that more in a second, but just to reflect a bit on the fight again. I think you called it pretty straight down the middle there. It was a weird fight as well. I described the Diaz versus Chimaev fight as being a bit of a snuff film, if it had happened, and thankfully it didn't. But this was like a bit of a snuff film as well. It just it felt weird, and I'm glad. I think it was Ian Dean tweeted about it as well. I got my feelings exactly as I thought. It just all felt a bit odd with these. The first thing you said there, neither lad looked great, and it was one of those ones where it was obviously like 7 or 8 years too late for this fight to be happening. Almost that both lads up a weight class for both of them as well, if we're being honest, mostly for Tony. Obviously, although Tony has fought a lot, as I mentioned on the broadcast, at welterweight previously in his career, but he is a career lightweight. And it all looked a bit slow, it all looked a bit plodding, it all looked a bit weird, but that was the fight I think we were kind of expecting. So I think as it went on, we kind of put that to the side of our brain, maybe, or I did. And I know a lot of people, I see people tweeting online, were kind of the same as like, okay, when we kind of got into the fight, and then the fight started maybe to develop a bit of a narrative, and it started to be kind of a close fight, and there was more shots being landed. And do you know what it turned into? It turned into a Nick Diaz fight in maybe the end of the second or into the third round, and like a late Nick Diaz fight with all the back turning and the leaning against the cage and everything. And I know there was a little bit of that before it as well, but it wasn't your high class top of the spectrum MMA fight. This wasn't a ranked MMA fight, if you want to put it like that, in terms of quality, but it was fun. I agree with you as well. In the first 2 rounds especially, Nathan Diaz was a little bit ahead. He landed a lovely 1-2 in the first, after he checked the Tony Ferguson leg kick, which cut the shin of Ferguson, and he was just bleeding all over the place. In the second round, I thought Tony did well at the start of the round. He was landing some nice leg kicks, but I agree again with you. They were massively overstated in the second and first round anyway. Do you
think, actually, I was wondering during the fight, did the commentators think that those kind of blood marks on Diaz's leg were reddening from the kicks? I think they were just blood marks from Tony's leg.
Yeah, they were.
I really thought that those leg kicks were really overstated. They were accumulating, but very early on they were talking, his leg is toast, one more and all this. I was like, what are you talking about? Yeah,
because if you look at the second half of the second round, Nathan Diaz just dominated that, and he was moving fine. I think when the leg kicks did show, it was in the third round, because he hit him with one nice one, and do you know what? I actually don't think it was the accumulation of them at all. I don't think they were massive in the first 2 rounds. But he hit him with one in the third round, and it kind of buckled his leg. He caught him obviously in a bad way, and Nathan was wrestling against the cage after that. And I think he fooled the judges a little bit, because 2 of the judges gave that third round to Nathan Diaz, and I was like, that shot I thought pretty clearly hurt him. Now Diaz came back because Tony Ferguson played into that. He played up. He was acting as well, turning his back, and Diaz really brought him into his fight, because there was a point in that third round, and it started the second as well, even, where Tony was like, Tony's a better like technical attacking fighter than Nathan Diaz, and especially now, like that first round, Nate could barely throw a punch. When he did, he was landing well, but he was barely throwing anything. Whereas when Tony let his hands go, he looked closer to his prime than Nathan did, I think. But it was just turned into a battle of attrition at that stage. And Tony Ferguson's never winning a battle of attrition against Nathan Diaz, especially when he's not cutting Nathan and he is cut himself on the face and on the leg as well. And when he has prepared for a 3-round fight. It's his first fight back up at 170 as well. It's going to be very hard for him to keep that cardio going. Another thing as well, though, do you know Nathan Diaz, like this cardio machine, wins fight late thing is massively overstated too. This was the latest he's ever won a fight. He's never won a fight in the 4th round or the 5th round, or never won a 5-round decision. So that kind of the narratives come around sometimes, like, oh, this lad is unbelievable cardio and he wins fights late and all. Not necessarily the case. He's lost I think 2 fights that have wins for 5 rounds, and he's never had a finish late. So it was I suppose it was a great win for Nathan Diaz as well, especially in that sort of way. He proved the point there maybe. But I did what you said about the takedown in his corner, saying it, I didn't even notice that until afterwards. I think someone mentioned it, and that was not great, because Nathan said afterwards as well, I had been preparing for obviously a wrestler, preparing for Chimaev, and a large part
he did no sparring on the feet at all.
Yeah,
in the whole camp. So maybe that plays into why his timing was so off.
You'd have to, true. Yeah, you'd have to think a large part of that preparation was guillotines from the bottom and was triangles and stuff like that. So he was well prepared for that. And like we show, people kind of overstate as well Nathan's striking, although it can be very good at times. But his jiu-jitsu is really, really legitimately unbelievable. I was going back and I was looking for, when he put up the muscles in an old fight. What was it, the Kurt Pellegrino fight? But I went back and I was looking at a few of Nathan's different submissions. He's got some great submissions in the UFC over the years, and people seem to forget, and they don't forget that, but I think they understand it maybe. And he brilliant guillotine when he got there, just absolutely wrapped up that neck and took it, although Tony was tired. And I think sometimes you make decisions in life, and the second you make them, you're like, what the fuck am I doing? Why did I make this decision? And I think that was one of the ones for Tony Ferguson in a fight that I really thought was kind of going his way. I thought it was turning, and I thought it was going for Tony in the 3rd, but it didn't, and Nathan ended up winning it. It was overall like a good fight, I would say, a weird fight. But for like the time that the fight happened, the notice of which the fight happened, which was like 24 hours, I don't think we could have expected so much better. Were you happy with it, Graham, or was it a disappointing one for you?
Yeah, well, it was entertaining. Like, both guys are a bit crazy, Ferguson and Diaz, and maybe if this was 2 different guys, you might have seen it as an even weirder fight, but you kind of expect something weird from these 2 guys, and I think the fight kind of. They both kind of grew into the fight, especially Diaz, as it went on. Like at the start, I was like, Jesus, Diaz looks fucking terrible here. But once he kind of got going, maybe that's kind of part of the thing about Diaz. You kind of mentioned that it's not really a thing, but he kind of does kind of start slow and grow into fights. And even though he lost to Leon Edwards, obviously he landed that big combination in the 5th round, and that kind of plays into how people see Diaz as kind of a marathon fighter. And obviously he kind of did drag Tony Ferguson deep here, and as you said, once Nate Diaz went for the submission, I think Tony kind of knew his night was up. He knew he wasn't going to win the fight, and maybe if that exact choke had been put on in the 1st round, he would have fought harder to get out of it, but he knew his race was run and he wasn't going to win that fight. So I think that probably played into that a little bit, but overall I enjoyed the fight. It did seem like, even though Tony didn't really land anything, that with his craziness, the way he was kind of spiraling out of control and pirouetting and all the stuff, that he could land something. So the threat was there, but it did seem the longer the fight went on that it was definitely going more in Nate's favor. Obviously, if he could have landed maybe a couple of more really hard leg kicks, maybe that could have played in. But as I said earlier, I don't think the leg kicks were affecting too much. Like I'd say Nate Diaz right now is in pain from them leg kicks, and he's got his leg on ice. But like in that 15, 20 minutes, I don't think they were ever going to play much of a factor. And I think Tony was just outmatched here, even against a Diaz who wasn't in great shape and hadn't prepared any striking for this fight. I think maybe if they had a full camp, Nate Diaz would have beaten him easier.
Yeah, I don't know. Tony, Tony didn't have the full camp for 5 rounds either, I suppose. I don't necessarily agree with that one. The one thing I would disagree with as well is I do think the leg kick played a part in the 3rd round. I don't think it did as much in the 1st and 2nd, but I definitely think it hit him with a really hard one in the 3rd round. But Nathan's very good at getting hurt, acting like he's messing around and giving himself time to recover. He's really good. It's almost like Charles Oliveira, when he gets hurt, he flops to his back, and in no one's wanting to go to the ground with Charles Oliveira, so he gives himself time to recover. Nathan just like flops to the cage and like turns his arse out, and no one will come near him. So he did a good job either way, and I think it not necessarily fooled the judges, but I know we speak all the time about judging and how you react to it and the amount of impact it has, and maybe he made the impact look less by the way he acted. So a smart strategy, I suppose, and fair play to him. You mentioned briefly what's going to happen next. It looks like it's going to be a Jake Paul, amateur boxing match, or whatever you want to call it. Which
is the Anderson Silva bout announced?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's going to be happening. So
surely Anderson will beat him now.
Jake can box.
I know he's like fucking 50 years old or something.
Yeah, Jake can box, to be fair, and Anderson is 50 years old. So I would say Anderson will beat him, but I don't think it's a foregone conclusion by any means. And
what weight is Jake Paul like?
I think I don't think they're too far apart. He was going to fight, or he's going to box in his last bout against that Hassan Rahman guy at, I think, 200 pounds or 205, but that was supposed to be kind of him going up a weight. So I think he's around 190-ish, 195. That's pretty good with Anderson. That's around Anderson's weight, I say, especially at this vintage. So yeah, if that happens, like if he wins that and then he has the Nathan Diaz boxing match, it could be very lucrative for Nathan. I think the Jake Paul dude needs guys like Anderson Silva, needs guys like Nathan Diaz to be the A side, because he's an absolute busted flush. He can't sell tickets, he can't sell pay-per-views anymore against these nobodies. So I've always thought he's a fucking idiot, but he's a smart guy in that he will keep fighting nobodies until he has one really tough boxing match, get a shitload of money for whether it's McGregor or whoever it might be, and then just like, fuck you, I won the game, I'm going back to do my YouTube videos with fucking 50 million in the bank from these 4 boxing matches or whatever it might be. And I do think he will get there, but he's taking a tougher road there, because this Anderson Silva one, I don't think that's going to draw. And it's a very losable thing for him. But on I really don't want to talk about Jake Paul. I'm sorry for just that last 90 seconds there. But we're talking about Nathan Diaz, and it looks like that's Nathan Diaz's next move. I did like the fact that he says, I want to come back to the UFC and win a title. No, he's not going to do that. But him coming back to the UFC, it's a little bit different for Nathan compared to other people, because he doesn't fight that often anyway. If he had one fight every 18 months or one boxing bout every 18 months and earned himself a good bit of money, and maybe only had 1 or 2 more and got a good bit of money out of it, I think that'd do him right. I don't think he has much fighting left. I think he's just looking for 1 or 2 big more paydays. I would have thought that,
but the way he was talking, he was in the post-fight interview, he was talking like, I've been wanting to fight in the UFC, been holding me back kind of thing, but who knows how true that is.
I don't know. It is hard to know with Nathan as well, because it's a weird one. That McGregor fight is still there as well. That's a massive trilogy fight, and I don't know if that's going to happen or not ever, but I suppose we will see. The thing about Nathan Diaz as well, you never really know when a fight with his is going to be announced, and that's with the UFC trying to get him to fight all the time, and maybe even sometimes him trying to fight previous to maybe this last year or whatever it might be, with the UFC not there to kind of make it happen. Will it ever happen? Like, could this be Nathan Diaz's last fight? Like, I genuinely can see a world where that that does happen just with like laziness more than anything
him and
else.
Nick hitting the Las Vegas clubs.
Yeah, exactly. I could definitely
check it out on Instagram every 3 nights a week.
Come here to me. Here's the last question before we move on from this fight. Do you think Tony Ferguson did enough in that fight to earn himself a Conor McGregor fight?
I don't. I think he had to win. I think like the UFC and the UFC brass and the owners and Dana and Conor are all going to want a bigger fight. If Tony had won that fight, it would have been a different story. Probably they could have made it work. But Tony's lost like several in a row now. So I think the UFC brass and everybody will want a bigger fight.
Yeah, maybe. I think the fight would make perfect sense from McGregor coming back to MMA after a year or more out and coming back from the injury and everything. But yeah, that's the fight that's always kind of made sense. But as you say, maybe he's coming off of so many losses. Although people forget that. Like, people forgot that yesterday. So it's not as if we won't forget. And I thought he put on a pretty good fight and everything. But I don't know. Maybe it's... maybe the losses will be too much, although I'm not sure I'm buying into that. But anyway, look, a good outing, a good fight, and a fun one for that as well. So, and Graham, when we talk about failure, I suppose the failure to make weight of Khamzat Chimaev is the one there. He saw the door. One was the fucking cookies and cream and ice cream, and the other one was like the salad and all. He chose the wrong door. But he went in there against Kevin Holland anyway, and he chose the right door, I suppose. And that door was the immediate wrestling. Just picked him up, put him. Do you know what? Kevin Holland did miles and miles and miles better in this fight than I thought he would, because he defended the takedown unbelievably well for about 45 seconds maybe. He kept popping up. Chimaev was like pulling him, getting him in the worst positions possible, and Kevin Holland was like a prime Jose Aldo fucking jumping back up. The big issue for him though, he wasn't able to get separation, and every time he got back up, he was just being pulled back down again and just being destroyed by Chimaev. Went for a couple of little darces, did Chimaev. I was like, this is not going to work. But he almost got into the mount a couple of times. Again, Kevin Holland defended well, got him out of there. But there was at one stage where he slipped off into a wrong position. Chimaev was able to like hook the leg over the back of his thigh at one stage. And to readjust the choke, and when he did that, he pulled the leg out again, went straight for the darts, and was able to get the finish. It was an absolute destruction, if we're being honest. He was all over him from the very, very start. Holland defended for his life, but there's only so much defending you can do when you're in there against Chimaev. An absolute destruction. Any thoughts on it, Graham? Look, it's one, it doesn't need much analysis. It was just a guy who is an absolute demon going in there just destroying a highly unmatched guy.
Yeah, Kevin Holland did his best. He definitely fought for his life out there. I wonder how much energy he would have had left if he had got back to his feet. I think obviously Chimaev was expending a lot of energy as well, but I think he can do that for a lot longer in the wrestling, the catch wrestling and all that. And Kevin Holland, he put up a valiant effort. He was definitely there to fight, and he didn't accept bottom position. But there's just levels to this, and Chimaev coming out, not striking with him at all, going straight for the takedown. The second he shot for the takedown, you kind of knew it was all over. Kevin Holland, lasted in the positions, did better in the positions and lasted a bit longer than definitely did better than I expected and lasted longer than I expected, but it was inevitable once it hit the ground, and obviously he was fishing for that choke, but if it wasn't that, it would have been something else soon after, I think. Obviously Kevin Holland is a big guy, has a weight advantage, but Chimaev's wrestling is just on a completely different level to Kevin Holland's, and that was the story of the fight. Yeah, it really, really was. And like the reaction when Chimaev came out, we mentioned it a bit earlier on, but he got absolutely booed out of the building. There was USA chants in the middle of the fight, which are unusual unless it's like, I don't know, unless it's Stipe Miocic maybe, or someone in a big world title fight and they're American or whatever. But and the reason I'm saying it's unusual is because he's like a star. If McGregor is fighting, Chad Mendez or Eddie Alvarez or whatever, there's never going to be USA chants because, he is the star and the people are coming to see him. Like, America is not like
Ireland or Brazil or whatever, they're not shouting on their own just because they're their own, and that's the whole reason they're there. They're there to see stars. They're there to see that they're used to having people from all over the world fighting, and this was unusual, I think, to hear this in this guise. And I think it was definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, more an anti-Chimaev thing than a pro-Holland thing, without a doubt, because they ruined the card for him. But it'll be interesting.
Well, how much of it was him missing weight and getting the cards all switched up, or how much? I think it was like 90% because of his reaction to it and how he didn't own up to it, and he just kind of said, fuck off, it doesn't matter, I was close enough and all this shit. People, I think, on social media, so I think people were more angered with that. I think people can understand, you missed weight for the first time in your career, or you're not a regular weight misser, then people will say, something went wrong, or the doctors, or like Chimaev could have explained what happened with the doctor, and people would have accepted it, and people would have been, happy enough. But because of his reaction, I think that was why he got booed, and that was why Kevin Holland was, the fan favorite. I don't think it actually was the weight cut; it was his reaction, or the weight cut miss, it was his reaction to it, and also the fact that he's fighting. It's like, well, you missed weight because of a medical issue, as Ariel said. What's the fucking medical? How bad? As I think Peter Queally tweeted out, you have a medical issue that's not bad enough to stop you fighting, but it's bad enough to stop you making weight. It's like, that's a bit weird now. And okay, we all know if someone does their fucking knee or something and they can't get on the treadmill and they can't get the weight down, or they can't get out on the road and run and stuff, it's probably something like that. Although maybe, I know Ariel said it's a medical issue. That doesn't sound like it's an injury, so I don't know. But I think that rubbed people up the wrong way as well. You're 100% correct. Like, he acted really weird about it, but he also came out and fight. And let's be honest, if any doctor comes into any weight cut, even if it's not a extreme weight cut, it's just a regular average weight cut in the UFC. If a doctor comes and she's going to find medical problems, this is a ridiculous thing to be doing to your body, you know what I mean? Sucking all the water out of it, leaning it down, all that stuff is definitely, if you test somebody in that state, they're not going to pass all medical tests. So maybe we'll find out more about what the quote medical problem was, but I'd be skeptical that it's not just regular weight cut medical issues. Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. If I'm being honest, it was it just was all, it was all bad everything for Chimaev here. I'm interested to see what it looks like the next time he fights, if the crowd are anti-Chimaev next time, or if they kind of forget about all this. Now, the reason people were abusing him and giving out and everything was because they had bought a ticket, and the way he acted and all. The next people who bought a ticket will be buying a ticket for him versus whoever he's going to be fighting, and will probably be bang up for the fight, so maybe we won't see that as much. I don't think... well, either way, if they don't like him, or if they do like him, as long as they're paying for the pay-per-views, that's it. Chimaev and the UFC brass are happy. But I think his stick about, I smash everybody and I die in there and I die for you. He just kept saying the same things over and over again, and it just wasn't hitting, and he just needed to kind of give up, and it was just all a bit cringy at the end, I thought. Yeah, MMA fans forget very quickly. Adrian Adesanya had a fight 2 weeks after he put on the biggest snooze fest in UFC history, and people are saying, this is the most anticipated fight for the rest of the year for me. So, people forget. Yeah, very, but just quickly. Because Tom Brady has a fucking 4 interceptions or something in one game, and then he comes up against Peyton Manning and whatever in the next game, or this is obviously years ago. People still be excited, you know what I mean? Wins and losses, it's not like in boxing where you've lost a couple in a row, or you lost recently, you're a bum. It's not like that, it's not. People can find ways to get hyped about sporting events. Indeed. I wonder what happens with him next. It sounds like Dana White wants him to fight at middleweight. I think the Robert Whittaker fight makes just too much sense for them. I know people are calling for this Paulo Costa fight, but no interest in that. He's just going to destroy Paulo Costa. We know that. Put him in there with Robert Whittaker. This is a genuine number 1 contender fight. If he beats Robert Whittaker, I haven't checked, but has he said anything? He should be calling for this fight. He should be making this happen. That fight, there isn't a fight in the UFC that makes more sense than that. There really, really isn't. He needs to prove himself again after missing weight, and after all of that, he fucking he fumbled the bag, as our good friend Jake Paul would say. Fucked it up. The biggest, easiest opportunity of his career.
do you know what he deserves? He deserves a Colby. He deserves a Robert Whittaker. But if he's not going to fight that 117...
Robert Whittaker in a huge show in Australia. There you go. There you
go. Main event. And you can fight the winner of Adesanya versus the other Brazilian kickboxer, whatever his name is next. Easy. You're putting him straight into a title shot in. And Robert Whittaker needs to beat someone like Chimaev. If he beats Chimaev, he's probably earned another shot at Adesanya, and that's the only way he's probably going to earn it without winning 5 fights in a row. The fight, I don't know why everyone isn't calling for this fight, honestly. It makes absolute and complete perfect sense if he's gone up to 180 now, or 185. If he wants to stay down, or if they're going to allow him to stay down at 170, look, then fair enough. Give him Colby, or, I don't think they're going to put him straight into a title shot after missing weight the way he did. But yeah, I think that fight makes a lot of sense, and I don't know why people aren't calling for more. But sure, look, we will see what happened with him in the coming weeks and months. The third then of the snuff fights which went down was Li Jingliang against D-Rod. Some people were up in arms with the judging decision here. I didn't really get that, to be honest. I did score it for
I thought it was the wrong decision, but I didn't think it was egregious.
I would tend to agree with that. Like, that first round was so close on my card. The one big issue here was the judges were splitting all the rounds. Now the second round, I didn't think so. Even the third round, I think Rodriguez definitely won the third round, although it was close. Even then, I wouldn't say definitely, but it was close. I did think Lee won the second round, but the first was very close as well. So there
was a head kick at the start of the round from Rodriguez on Yang, but I don't know if it landed flush. Maybe the judges saw it from better angle. The two judges, I think, two judges gave the first round to Rodriguez. So maybe they thought it landed harder than I thought it landed. But I thought Yang did enough to overcome that strike as the with his boxing. And the second round I thought was pretty clear for Lee as well. And the third round I would have given to Rodriguez, but I think it all came down to that first round.
Yeah, I gave the first two to Lee and the third to Rodriguez. And when I was putting out my score for that first round, I was very much like, oh, am I putting this out here? It was one of those. There's no robbery there. It's just, I think a lot of people were kind of saying, he's 8 pounds heavier and all, which is absolutely fair. If you feel bad for Lee, I would agree with you without a shadow of a doubt. If you were to decide on ethics who should win this fight afterwards, you'd be giving it to Lee, Rodriguez, it wasn't his fault. He made weight for the fight he was supposed to have, but the way it happened was the way it happened. And overall, it was a pretty good fight, to be honest. It was one of those ones, though. I think the commentary actually called it pretty well. Both lads had been preparing for someone else that didn't prepare for each other and were kind of just getting in there to fight, and they got a little bit of booze and stuff, which I think was unfair. I think people could have understood that a little bit better maybe, but however, not a mad fight to write home about or anything like that. A good 3 rounds, a very, very close decision, and there wasn't much to be said about it. There is a bit to be said though about this Aldana versus Choi-Son fight. There was a clear Brazilian tap here in the first. Did you see that, Graham?
Yeah, it was a clear tap. It was fucking, like, the ref, Herb Dean, wasn't it? He shouldn't be missing that. Like, it wasn't hidden under, it wasn't on the wrong side. It was out in the open, a tap, Maybe because she tapped kind of early in the armbar before it was like fully locked in and extended. Maybe Herb Dean was looking at that, but yeah. I think it's a bad miss by Herb Dean, that tap. But
why did they have...
It nearly turned... Obviously, the Aldana ended up winning in the end, but it looked like the fight had turned, and it looked like, that was going to be a huge turning point in the fight. But obviously, Aldana turned it around. Yeah,
because it was close to a 10-8 in the second round, and Choi-Son came back really, really well. The one thing I would say, though, is why... We have the VAR, if you want to say it, in MMA cage side. There's someone looking at it there. There's a video referee. Why are they not calling that? It's clear as day.
I was actually thinking that at the time. I thought, can they call this? That's what I was thinking. I was like, can they call this? Can they, the round ends, can they... Is the ref going to be shown this, or is the commission going to be like, this is over? But obviously not.
Yeah, I think it should have been. Like, that's one of those things that should be. Sometimes there's things that there's a debate, and is it? And you let it go because it's not clear and obvious. that phrase is as clear and obvious as the opposite of that phrase is, I think. But anyway, this was just pure clear. I don't know why they didn't call it, but anyway. But what we did get out of it was one of the knockouts of the year, to be honest, and it was one of the knockouts that nobody realizes what has happened. Even watching it live, I'm like, oh, she threw it up. What happened there? Like, did she hit her lower? Or what happened? But no, she kicked her right in the fucking liver with an up kick.
Do you think she did it on purpose?
She said she did, but
she didn't actually say she did, though, because Rogan was like, oh, did you train that? And she says, oh, we trained so many different things. She kind of...
yeah, maybe so.
I don't know. The way she said it, I just thought, I don't know if she meant this.
I don't think she did. if I'm being honest, I don't think she did. We were talking last week, I think, or 2 weeks ago, about lucky knockouts and lucky punches and stuff. This was probably a lucky one, if we're being honest, but, you know.
Justice. It
was justice. Absolute. And there was another fight as well earlier in the night. Let me just pull up my notes here. Tulan versus Pickett. Pickett got kicked in the hip and took a fucking dive like a prime Luis Suarez, going down, fucking diving all over the place.
You should have got the neck brace out like Kiefer Crosby.
Like, yeah, Mike Jackson, wasn't it? Yeah, absolutely. And then he got kneed in the balls again, and it was a small enough one. It was mad timing and all of that. And then Mike Beltran, who, you know, as a person, I've great respect for Mike Beltran and all, I think, what I've seen from him. But as a referee, this guy is... He took a point here for what the first one as well. They looked at its cage side, and I think there was like an obvious here. He didn't get hit in the fucking dick. Get this back on, and Beltran did get it back on. And then there's a second one which grazes. It was a knee to the balls, 100%. But then he takes a point.
It was a moving target. It was like, it wasn't as if he was just stationed there and he just kneed him in the balls. It was like they both lifted their legs to strike, and it just kind of happened. It was
ridiculous. And it's so, oh my god, I was so maddened. Most people last night on Twitter were like, no problem with this point, take away this point, no problem. People are fucking idiots. You know how much a point changes a fucking fight? It changes it massively. These fights are decided on 3 points. 3 points if it's a 30-27. It's 29-28. It's decided on 1 point. And you're taking one away for a guy's balls being dropped on a knee, basically, and the first one not even landing. It's ridiculous. People need to realize, and people say, "Oh,
it's not like a point in boxing where there's 12 rounds and there's so many points." What is it like? Scores are like 114 to 117 and stuff. It's not like that. Like a point can be everything in a fight. Yeah, like the most you can win by in a 3-round fight, if there's no 10-8s or anything like that, is 3 points in a fucking obviously in a 10-round boxing match or 12-round boxing match, it's 10 points or 12 points, and all. Taking 1 point, as you said, is not a big deal. It's a big deal, but not a massive deal. If it's a closer fight, obviously it's going to be a bigger deal. This one, even in a blowout, it's a fucking big deal. And I just people, how they don't realize that. Now, people are probably saying, well, why is this why is it like that? Why is the system like that? And I would agree. I think the system is not the issue. I think the taking away of points is the issue, and the punishment is the issue. I think we need to find new, different punishments, whether it's giving up a position or something like that for things like that. I would 100% be behind that. But like taking away more points, I think is wrong. Now, if there's if a guy keeps extending his fingers and he's warned by the ref when he pokes him in the eye or something, I think that's different. That's actually like you know. You could have prevented this, but when two guys are moving, throwing strikes, and one strike goes awry, it's just like, come on, this is fucking ridiculous. And if someone comes up and punts a lad right in the dick, take a point. I'm not saying ban point taking, or if there's 4 or 5 of them, or 3 of them even, egregious, absolutely take it. Now on the fingers extended, I 100%. I think points should be taken for that, without it even connecting at times. If you keep doing it, it's against the rules, and if you keep going against the rules over and over, I think does the guy have to step into your fingers and put his eyes into your fucking fingers? You're changing the whole fight, and that's the key to it. It's something that changes the fight. But it was a weird one. It wasn't a great night for the referees. Now, we've a lot of good refereeing recently, to be honest. I don't really criticise the referees too much, but I don't think it was they're missing obvious taps and taking points for
nothing.
Basically no reason. Then
it's ridiculous. It's not good. The fight before that, Julian Rosa. What a win for Rosa against Dowdo. I picked Dowdo to win here.
I thought if Rosa was going to win, he was going to have to mix in a lot of grappling and takedowns and fence work, but he looked great on the field. I think, like they mentioned it, we've mentioned it for years, and they mentioned in the commentary that Rosa kind of fights at the level of his opponent.
Yeah.
But, he actually fought above the level of his opponent here quite heavily in the first round, and maybe as the fight went on, he tried to play it a little safe or got a little tired or something, and the fight became closer. But yeah, I thought Rosa looked great on the feet, and obviously he had an advantage in the grappling. He wasn't able to use it as much as expected, but yeah, for how the fight played out and how long it stayed on the feet, I was very surprised with how well and how crisp Rosa looked out there, and yeah, absolutely brilliant win for him.
Yeah, I think that was coming off of a bit of a timeout as well, and maybe it showed, but Rosa made him barely. Absolutely,
he missed weight as well, didn't he? So yeah, maybe there was some kind of injury or something, maybe. But it didn't look like that out there. He looked like in shape.
Yeah, he did. He always comes and looks in shape. But Rosa boxing him up at flying knee. He was nearly done in the first round. Got a takedown in the second. Back control. We started cruising a bit in the third, and my guy Daniel Cormier was saying open scoring is shit and all, which is fair play, Daniel. Do you know what? Fair play.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day, as they say. What?
Oh God, I tried my best not to tweet about Cormier last night, but God almighty.
You did tweet it. You said at one stage you said 2-0 or 2018 lead.
Did you see
Daniel,
he like clearly.
There was a bit of a silence. I think John Anik was going to say something, but then he didn't. There's a bit of a silence there. I reckon John didn't pull the trigger on a comment there.
Oh God, yeah. Look, if I was saying it to John, I think he probably would. The fact it was Daniel. Yeah. I don't think Daniel Cormier is going to be calling out my name anyway. But here we go. Look, these things.
He's got to find you outside a UFC hotel sometime down in back alley.
Yeah, you fuck's sake. I'll get John Jones with me. I'll be fine. After that, then we had Almeida versus Turcal. Another easy one. A takedown, destruction, rear naked choke. Jailton Almeida is next level. Like, this guy is gone. He's gone right to the top. To sound like Harry Redknapp with Frank Lampard, this guy has gone right to the very, very top. And it's going to be amazing.
And I didn't want to say this in front of him. But.
I didn't want to say this in front of him. But he is going right to the top. Do you know what? We didn't forget it, but I didn't have it in my notes just because I had bet on him and I won a load of money. And I didn't take any notes, but Johnny Walker, Ireland's own Johnny Walker, got a great win against Ian Cutelaba.
Kicked out.
Yeah, and just kicked out afterwards.
No shoes on.
Why not? It was a great performance from Johnny Walker. He did look. When I say a great performance, it went very badly at the start, I suppose. There was a few punches and kicks thrown and it was all going well, or whatever. And then there was, I don't know, was it a leg kick or something? But he kind of fell back more than there was a takedown and he ended up on bottom. And you're kind of thinking, oh, fuck, you'd forget almost at times that Cutelaba has great ground and pound. You're expecting this to be a striker match. But Johnny Walker did better from the back, I think, than Cutelaba did on top, landing nice elbows.
There was actually a couple of really nice elbows to the ear. Like, they looked fucking vicious, to be honest.
Yeah, nasty. And he did a good job of kind of holding him in. I thought there was going to be maybe a stand-up at one stage, but they kept fighting and it was a good fight on the ground. There was a lot of waiting, I think, for Cutelaba, but good defensive stuff from Johnny Walker after the initial elbows and things. And then he managed to get out and get back, but then he had a lovely back take, a bit of a trip, got the fight to the ground. There was a bit of struggling there. He had a neck crank at one stage. Cutelaba survived it. I thought he was going to flatten him out at one stage. Then again, Johnny Walker, but he moved around, got the rear naked choke and got the finish. And luckily, Betfair, wherever the fuck I'm signed up, yesterday, they had I was going to back him by a knockout in the first round, but they had a knockout or submission. I was like, do you know what? I'll do the knockout or submission just in case. 25 quid on a gram, one fucking 75 quid. I'm a millionaire. MMA is finally bringing in the money. Fucking absolutely great. Johnny Walker, if I see you at Bellator, I'll buy you a pint.
Drinks
Legend.
on John,
just for Johnny Walker. Although that fucking 75 quid a pint in Dublin, I'd spend the whole 75 quid on it. But impressive stuff from Johnny Walker with the Irish kid, John Kavanagh, and Packy Collins as well. I'd say it was the first time Packy Collins ever cornered a lad to win by submission. But great stuff for Johnny Walker, for Irish MMA as well. We're definitely claiming him. He lives and trains in Ireland, so he's one of us.
Yeah, definitely. It was good to see him go out there and, face adversity and stay calm there and fight through. Obviously that was a very important win for him. He obviously has ambitions to get to the top of the division, like nearly all of these guys in all these divisions in the UFC do. It's an important win. If you lose that, what kind of position are you in? You're maybe looking at getting caught or looking at getting cut in the near future if you don't turn things around. So it was a big win for him, and obviously he's known for his kind of crazy strikes, and he's kind of reined that in a little bit and seems to be trying to be more well-rounded, and that'll be a big boost to his confidence in his grappling to have gone out there and got a submission like that against a tough guy in the first round in like a high pressurized situation. And he didn't have it all his own way, as you said. It kind of looked like it was kind of going wrong at one stage, but he stayed calm, and his wrestling takedown, I don't know what you call it, a mat return, I think Cormier called it, was really nice, and he immediately put the hooks in and was fishing for the choke. And even at the end, I thought maybe that Cutelaba was going to fight out of it, but he kind of turned it into a short choke and just squeezed enough that the Cutelaba submitted. So yeah, very good from Johnny Walker, and it's good to see him rounding out his game. And obviously, it's for the fans, it's nice to see him throw crazy strikes and all that stuff. But he can find the moments for them, and the rest of the time he can be a well-rounded, solid fighter. It's a dangerous combination.
I think the phrase you used there, rounding out his game, is the exact right one. Like, there's definitely been signs, okay, he went in against Jamal Hill in his last fight and got put out early, but in my opinion, Jamal Hill is the best light heavyweight in the world right now, so there's no shame in that. And his performance for that against Thiago Santos was very good, but a very good kind of, you need 2 or 3 more of them fights before you fight it exactly the right way. And then this one, bit of adversity, as you said, and came back again. Very much looking forward to seeing what's next for Johnny Walker, seeing who it will be next, and seeing how he performs. So rounding out his game, as you said, is definitely where he's at the moment, and good stuff from Johnny Walker. The rest of the card, we'll run through it pretty quickly. Dennis Toulalan, who looks exactly like Joseph Duffy, won against Jamie Pickett, which we mentioned after that dick kick, which never happened, and the points
actually the Chris Barnett fight, though, it's pretty entertaining.
That was unbelievable. I missed weight at heavyweight, which was the best thing to ever happen. Again, dancing.
Definitely made too many late night pizza orders.
You can't blame him. And then almost got knocked out viciously in the first round, but just survived. Something
in his face broke as well, I think, didn't it?
Yeah, his eye was closed and his jaw looked broken. Jake Collier, there's something more wrong with his jaw as well, I think. But the weird thing about this, right, is Chris Barnett is more used to being like the kind of the and I can say this, I suppose, but the fat, tired guy in there, and it felt like he was dancing in the storm
in that situation.
Yeah, he was dancing in the storm where Jay Collier was kind of like slipping and falling down. I think like Collier obviously having coming up from middleweight, he thought he was just going to go in here, land all these shots and get finished, but after that first like 50 or 60 seconds where Collier was throwing the big shots and almost knocked him out, he got so tired that it brought Barnett back into the fight, because he was 100% had better cardio in that situation, was more used to it. Now Collier landed some shots after that as well, but I think from that point on it was a Chris Barnett fight, and he ended up getting the finish. He ran around to the back at one side. I love the way Chris Barnett like takes the back. He just jumps around to the back. He's brilliant. He's fast and he's athletic and he's a good fighter and he's durable and all of that. But yeah, look, this was definitely less UFC and more KFC, I would say. If we're being honest.
His pound shop fucking deals, or AliExpress fucking front flip where he kind of has half on his arse, half on his back.
Wish that guy. Yeah, it was definitely one of them, but funny shit. Like funny. The card didn't start amazingly. There was a few snoozers on it, if we're going to be honest, and this one really, really brought it to life. This is absolutely unbelievable. Like there's so many fun fights.
He probably screwed himself out of 50 grand with those late night Domino's orders.
Yeah. To be fair though, he is a super heavyweight, like, and there should be no fucking upper limit anyway in heavyweight. I know what these people are thinking of. Who are we? Who the fuck are we? But anyway, great performance there.
265 is just kind of a weird number as well. It's a weird number.
Pointless, 265. Go to 300, it'll be fine. Norma Dumont then, she was very, very good against Danielle Wolf, the former championship amateur boxer in America. Just boxed her up basically. When the fight got to the ground, she destroyed her there as well. I've always been a fan of Norma Dumont, honestly. I think she's very good, and I wouldn't mind seeing her fighting Amanda Nunes. So let's do that next. Although going from fucking a 1-0 fighter to Amanda Nunes is a bit of a move, but anyway, good stuff from Dumont there. Then Alatang Haley, I love this guy. I know he's a Team Harry Powell, but I think he might be Team Sheehan as well. No, he's not Team Sheehan, but he's up there. He's probably on Team Sheehan's B team maybe, or C team, but I'm a big fan of Alateng Haley. He hits hard, he's chin on him. He's on the practice squad, he absolutely is, but a very good win for him against Chad and Gallagher. Elise Reed then was just a little bit better than Melissa Martinez, landed the harder shots, and Johan Linnes against Darian Weeks, a very close fight. And a good win for Linnes as well. I thought he did enough. So yeah, good stuff there from all of them. Congratulations, lads. Fair play to you. I'm delighted for all of you, and may the best luck to you all going forward. There was a KSW fight as well last night. I haven't managed to see this yet, but I will be catching up on it. Great win for Tom Breeze. He got the guillotine choke in the second round. It's a rear naked choke as well for Philip de Vries in the main event. So the English in KSW doing great stuff there. A lot of the big stars ended up winning for KSW. It was a good night for them, and got finishes as well. Dario Stoch got the finish. Tomius Ranakovsky got the finish, or Romankowski even got the finish. Unfortunately, Paul Palidio, who fights out of SPG, he ended up losing a decision there, but Emil Weber-Meck as well, in his debut in KSW, got back to winning ways. He won via TKO with elbows in the second round there. So good stuff out of KSW. This was a really great card on paper, and it looked like delivered. I'll be looking forward to catching back up on that this week end even. Next week then, Graham, we've Bellator coming up in 2 weeks, I suppose. There'll be lots of coverage coming out for that, but next week's UFC card is do you know what, it's an okay one. Some of the standouts on the undercard, I suppose Aspinall against Sarah McMahon is a fight that people would like to see. I love the fight between Tony Gravely and Javed Basharat. That is a really, really fun fight. That's a high level up and coming fight at 135 there. After that, my guy Damon Jackson is fighting Pat Sabatini. Andrea Feely is on the card against Bill Algeo. Yeah, Chilean Njokuani versus Rodriguez. That should be a fun fight. But the main event, that's a legitimately fantastic fight versus Corey Sandhagen versus Song Yidong. A big step up here for Song Yidong. He's been looking for it, and against Corey Sandhagen, it's a dangerous fight for Corey today as well. How do you think that one goes, Graham?
It's definitely a must-win for Sandhagen. He's coming off a split decision loss to Dillashaw and a unanimous decision loss to Peter Yan, and obviously that's a higher level than Yidong Song has been matched up against. But I think Sandhagen, he'll probably get it done. He'll probably get it done early or by decision here. I think just the level of competition and how he's looked in those fights. He hasn't been blown out of the water in kind of upper echelon fights, and I think it's a bit of a step too far for Song here. He hasn't really had that caliber of opponent. Like he's lost to Kyler Phillips a year and a half ago. So yeah, I think Sandhagen should have this handy enough, but there definitely is routes to victory for Song. But yeah, I'd be surprised if Sandhagen doesn't get it done. I was surprised that the odds are so close. What are the odds? Give us a show. I'll just pull them back up here. I looked at them earlier. Hold on a second. I wouldn't be surprised if they were that close as you pull them up there. I do favour Corey Sandhagen. Minus 195 plus 165. That's probably, I'd say, where I would have had it. So Yidong is plus 165, is he? Yeah. That's probably where I would have. I think Song is very, very good. The one thing I would say here, and a big issue for guys at 135 and at 125 as well, I think Yidong is very fast when he's throwing his boxing combinations inside. I think the issue for him might be the footwork and the speed on the outside. And obviously we'll talk about this more as we break it down. I'm sure Harry Powell and Ian and the lads will have a great breakdown, and Spencer will have a great breakdown on the preview show coming up on midweek here. But that would be my initial take. I have to go and watch a bit of tape for it more, I suppose, before that show as well. But man, that would be my initial take, that maybe the speed on the outside might be the issue. Now, if Yidong can get inside and land big power shots, and if he can find a way of kind of stopping the circling and the outside movement of Corey Sandhagen, there are definitely ways I can see him winning here. But this is at the apex as well. And I do think it's easier to fight that sort of game that Sandhagen would want to fight here. Than it would be in in a place with
with a big crowd. So yeah, it's a very fun fight. It's a very, very good fight, and if Yidong Song wins this, he'll be right up there. He'll be right up there towards the top of that division. A very moving division at the moment, with the Yan and O'Malley fight coming up on the same card as Sterling is fighting against TJ Dillashaw as well. So very interesting to see where this goes, and very interesting to see who wins this as well. So yeah, we will leave it there, I think, Graham, unless we have loads of more stuff to talk about. I don't know about that, but maybe not. We will be back next week with another podcast. Obviously looking forward to Bellator and talking about that card and much more. If you want some more content, head on over to patreon.com/SevereMMA podcast. You can sign up there. It's only $4.50 plus tax for the month. So if you sign up now, you'll have all the Bellator coverage and all of that. There's already some Bellator coverage up for free if you want it on the YouTube channel. Andy has some interviews there. I also interviewed Richard Kiley, who's fighting against John Redmond in a couple of weeks here on Cage Legacy, and we talked about the famous interview, I suppose, we had a few years ago where Richard kind of ate me in it, and he kind of explains what happened and how he was really badly injured coming in there, and knew he was going to lose basically, and that's why he gave out to me, because I kind of said he was going to lose, although I didn't really even say he was going to lose. But anyway, it's a good interview, and myself and Richard have a bit of a good rapport and stuff anyway, so check that out over on our YouTube as well. If you just search SevereMMA on YouTube, you will find that there, and all the good stuff. And as well, please support our friends at Manscaped. Use the promo code SevereMMA for 20% off and free shipping. Alright, Graham, take us out. I'm sure you have a good one this weekend with the I have a feeling I know what's coming, but go on anyway, give us our...
No, I pulled this up this last second here, so there's no thought I was put into this. Right. I always knew it would come to this. Dear hero imprisoned, with all the new crimes that you are perfecting, I can't help quoting you, because everything you say, it rings true.
Okay, that was a bit different. I was okay. All right, we'll see you, lads. We'll see you next Tuesday. Bye now.